Okay, so off and running in the second leg. Wheelie from Darren Bloomfield. Still manages to maintain 5th place though. Only drops 1 place, but it's Neil Cragg from Lee Martin and Simon Moss onto the back section. Stuart Wood up into 4th. Then comes Bloomfield, Lee, Collinson, Yardy, Cockrell and Everson, but there's been an error at the front, so Stuart Wood has managed to get past teammate Simon Moss into 3rd place. And Lee Martin will be doing all he can to breathe down Neil Cragg's neck. If he can get past him, he will take today's meeting with a win in leg number 2. Neil, long-time leader of leg number 1 though, will have other plans. And this is racing with the British guys at its best. Up front, Cragg from Martin. Over the tabletop, onto the cobbles for the 2nd time. Stuart Wood up into 3rd from Simon Moss. Craig Collinson, big improver, into 5th. So is Yardy into 6th. And Chris Everson, once again on the march, is running in 7th place with that prototype Tony Parmobile. Stuart Wood drifts a bit out. In fact, Lee Martin was looking for a way past Neil Cragg then. Managed to hold it Neil up onto 2 wheels, trying his hardest to open up as big a gap as possible on Lee. As computer timing is slowly coming back, we'll have to rely on visual aids for this one. And it's Cragg, Martin, Wood, Moss, Collinson and Everson is your top 6 as Lee and Yardy battling for 7th on the concrete. But Neil Cragg doing all he can and what he needs to do to take this into a 3rd and final deciding leg. Stu Wood though looking for a way past Lee Martin for 2nd place. 5th on the grid was Stu, the Schumacher car. Was the associated from the Tamiya up top. Then comes Schumacher, Schumacher Durango and then Tony Parr's car. Rounding out the top 6, 5 different manufacturers as Lee Martin has closed right in on Neil Cragg now. But Neil been around that back section many times over the years. Knows his way around it. As you can see, opens up a slight gap again on Lee. Stu Wood all over the back of Lee Martin. Simon Moss not that far behind as Neil makes a slight error on the cobbles. Allows Lee to close right up. And as everybody comes screaming across the line, there is pretty much nothing separating the top 4. Craig Collinson though is now latching on to the back of this train, the Neil Cragg train, which involves Cragg, Martin, Wood and Moss. Collinson not far behind, then Everson, and there's a mistake from Stu Wood. So Simon Moss promoted up into 3rd place, courtesy of that Wood error. But they are a little bit behind the leaders now, probably about a 2nd behind Cragg and Martin at the front as Cragg drifts a little wide. Lee Martin, as said before, if he can find his way past and win this leg, that will be the meeting done and dusted for the day. And Neil Cragg will be doing all he can to take this into a decider later on this afternoon. So you can see the 2 race leaders once again coming in front of the commentary position onto the main straight. Neil clips the curb, manages to hold it though. Lee right up behind Neil now, looking every which way to get through. Neil though, as we all know, been around many years, defending his lines very, very well, keeping it tight, keeping it nice and easy, nice and clean. Simon Moss still in the running here, leg 2. Big jump from the Schumacher driver. Craig Collinson from 7th on the grid. Chris Everson once again from 10th on the grid is in the top 5. He's looking for a 5 to go along with his 3 from leg 1. As Neil gets slightly out-shaped on the left-hand cobbles. Allows Lee to close right up again with 1 minute 40 to go, drivers. 1 minute 40 for Neil to hang on for leg number 2. And take this into a decider. So as you can see, there is pretty much nothing in it between the associated and the Tamiya cars and the Schumacher car in 3rd place. We've lost Darren Bloomfield by all accounts. Looks like Darren's dropped out. But here comes Cragg, Martin and Moss now. All 3 of them closed together on the back section, coming through the centre section now. Onto the tabletop in front of the rostrum. Up onto the cobbles. Neil Cragg driving very well, taking nice easy lines. Making his car as wide as possible, as difficult to overtake as possible. As Lee Martin will not give up though. Lee knows a win here will give him the meeting. Simon Moss makes a small error and drops a little bit back with 50 seconds on the race clock, drivers. 50 seconds to go. So you guys are coming through to complete, I think it's lap 11 as you come round. So there'll be a couple more for the leaders with 40 seconds on the clock. So you guys, you'll have 2 more laps, this one and 1 more. As Simon Moss makes an error, can he get on his wheels? He doesn't know, so he's dropped from 3rd down to 6th. But the battle is on at the top now. Lee Martin, if he can get past on this lap or the next one, he'll be today's winner. As Neil's defending very, very well. Excellent driving from these two drivers, I'm sure you'll all agree. Cragg and Martin start their last lap now with 18 seconds on the race clock. And Lee Martin looks for a way past, gets 2 wheels on Neil's back end. Neil holds it together though. Through the back section for the final time in leg number 2. Lee gets a nice little jump on Neil. But Neil's holding his lines very, very well. Over the last tabletop for the last time. Lee looks for a jump up onto the cobbles. Looks for an inside line. Can Neil hold on around the last two corners? As Lee goes over the top. Neil will take leg number 2. So Lee Martin held off after clipping Neil. Very good driving from those two. And we will go to a deciding leg. Craig Collinson, though, in the meantime, has snuck into 3rd place from 7th on the grid. And Chris Everson from 10th on the grid picks up a 4. So very good driving from Lee there. Had a little nibble and he waited for Neil to cross the line first. And due to that, we will go into a deciding leg.